Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Red for Anfield Index. It is Sunday, the 24th of August. A lot happens tomorrow, doesn't it? Liverpool will go to St James's Park for the Alexander Isak derby and try and take 3 points back to Anfield. And tomorrow, there will be a week left of the transfer window, which, being honest, means Liverpool need to get their arse in gear big time, don't they, with everything that's left to do. Still time, but it needs to get moving. And what a way to start the show, eh? There's John W. Henry in the chat panel giving the eyes already. Fingers crossed John does the business. And Eddie, before we even start, put big up Anfield Index. A big up to everyone who's listening. It's always appreciated as ever. I'm your host, Dave Davis, coming to you from... It's hot in Edinburgh. The sun's out. I've got a barbecue later, but I didn't appreciate this morning because I had to do the park run with my little lad, and I'm a little warm right now, but enjoy the day for what it is, and I can't complain, although I will probably when the sun goes. Fingers crossed, wherever you are in the world, you are enjoying it as well. But you don't want to hear about the weather. You want to hear about everything Liverpool related. Of course you do. So we'll do the normal. We'll look at the latest stories. We'll look at the big things going on for everything around the Reds. And as always, we start with the official site and a bit of an interview watch. And we've had a few, haven't we? We had Alisson yesterday doing a bit. And then this man is back, Ryan Gravenberch. As the strapline says there, I'm feeling great and happy to be back with the team. Obviously, as he mentioned here, I couldn't play the first Premier League game, so I'm happy to be back with the team. Newcastle are really good. We know it will be a really tough game for us. They are really physical. They are good in set pieces. So we prepare really good for them. And we want to show that we'll give our all against them on Monday. There's a few other bits as well in the interview that are well worth a read because he talks about, obviously, his new dad. Congratulations to that. A bit of the time when it was a bit tougher, as he says there. For me, it was the first time that I really played there last season. To be honest, it was a really tough game for myself. So I know what you can expect now. Well worth a read. And I won't go through it all. All I will say with this, though, is Ryan Gravenberch's the first name on that team sheet, isn't he? Absolutely. You've seen after the first game, for all the positives, just how open the Reds are that way. Yeah. And Arne Slot mentioned it in the press conference specifically as well. He did name check Ryan Gravenberch and Alexis McAllister with them being back in their normal position. So I think we're all fully expecting a return to the double pivot from last season. But he says it's going to be a tough game. Adam Byrne then saying, I'm actually not worried about a Newcastle game. I'm confident of a win. I'm not sure everyone shares his sentiments on that, but we'll see. Right, let's get into it. What is the latest on Anfield Index? If we take a quick scan of these stories, my, there is 1,000,001 things to delve into. There's a photo of Julian Alvarez with a strapline of Liverpool may move for an 82 million Isak alternative. Marc Guehi's on the screen. Rodrygo's on the screen. Isak, of course, is on the screen. And so is Virgil and Bukayo Saka. Christ, there is a lot to go through today. Probably start with the biggest story. I mean, he was interested on this. Ian Doyle had an article out this morning saying, which people didn't like, but obviously it's a club briefing that Liverpool are, of course, trying for Isak. He's their target, but it may be Isak and no plan B. And that's, the words of Ian Doyle. I'll let you go and read that if you want to, but that didn't go down particularly well. Speaking of things that didn't go down as well, to Craig Hope, the Newcastle journal, and this is being disrespectful to Craig Hope, but he was on Sunday Supplement this morning from 10 a.m. And just a little thing from one of his tweets, he was asked about the situation around Isak and said, here's a reply to one of his tweets from a guy called Andy. Still trying for Visa, but very unlikely they get two. In Christ, the way Newcastle have been going, he's, I won't put that much faith in Visa, never mind two. But you're thinking, well, why am I mentioning this? Because he did also say this on Sunday Supplement. Could there be movement, Isak, after the Newcastle game? yes, in theory, but 2 strikers have to come in. And he said that on Sunday Supplement. I watched the clip, or I watched the part of that as well. But he's also, as he says there, very unlikely that they get 2. And Craig Hope was honest and said that a move for Alexander Isak to Liverpool is very unlikely, which isn't really what we want to hear. I mean, if it's just one, say if it was Visser or another, and there's been other links, hasn't there, with Strand, Larson, Nicholas Jackson, you'd think, okay, a chance, a possibility. If it's 2, with the tight deadline and the way it's going, and Newcastle's just sheer incompetence, as we said on the transfer show, do I have faith in that? When we put a percentage on it, I'm giving you single digits there. So, yeah, that comes into the mix. The only other side to it, and it's got it there about, you see the strapline, Howe confirms Isak replacement plan. So Eddie Howe did talk about it. It kind of came out in his embargoed section, or came out the quotes last night. Interestingly, and this was mentioned to us, we said this on the transfer show by a few, and some, good sources as well, very reputable, saying that actually their info is that Visser, for instance, would be enough with Jacob Ramsey coming in, because Anthony Gordon can also play there. So the reason I'm telling you that is the quotes from Eddie Howe last night saying, I don't think anyone can fill Alex's boots, and Anthony Gordon, will know that. He's not trying to be Alex, he's got to be himself. And against Aston Villa, if you'd scored, you'd be calling it a perfect number 9 performance. Thinking, okay, maybe it was just a short-term measure. But as he does talk a bit further in this as well, he does actually talk about how Newcastle are training him in that position and been doing a few more bits with him. So I won't give you the whole article, but it is interesting. You do just wonder, well, one of them's going to be true, isn't it? It's either one, Gordon's the false 9, and it could be on. If Newcastle need to bring in 2, Christ alive. Yeah. In the words of Ross from Friends, we will need to pivot, and pivot fast, probably. Pablo Ethian there said, if we don't get Isak, who do we go for? Or are we confident? Got to be honest there, though, that there doesn't seem to be too many plan Bs, shall we say, coming out the works. And as I mentioned before at the top of the show, Ian Doyle's been clearly saying, and he put it out this morning again, that there doesn't seem to be a plan B if it's not Isak, and Liverpool may go to January with their current forward options. And Ends mentioned there, we're in big trouble if Chiesa gets an upgrade from 6th to 5th forward. We need 2 forwards. It's non-negotiable. If we get 2 to 3 injuries like Arsenal have now, we are screwed. Yeah, even 1 means no subs. Not disagreeing with that, Ed. My job is just to tell you the news on what we're hearing. So yeah, there we go on that one. One that isn't on the screen at all, but worth mentioning, Kostas Tsimikas. Now, there's a couple of things, just because I see him get, he's got to move on. I have got a soft spot for Kostas Tsimikas, and let me just confirm why. Does a lot with Liverpool Foundation, but also I know sort of off the field gets involved with other charity works, and a charity that my pal's involved in, actually Kostas contributed to them greatly. So I have got a soft spot for Tsimikas, just for full disclosure before I say this. But it came out last night. Di Maurizio saying that Roma are in talks with Liverpool over a potential loan move for Tsimikas, with the Serie A side eager to strengthen their defensive options. And Angelino's moved out, so looking to highlight that. And as he also says, Roma are looking for a left back. Tsimikas is the new name on the list. Now, naturally, they've got Gasperini in charge, who I think would be brilliant for Tsimikas' career. The only thing on this, I think it's a great move. A great club, a suitable level, shall we say. We know the pedigree of Rome as well, but a loan move. And this is almost as a compliment to Kostas. I actually think he's better than a loan move, to be honest. Just my thoughts, but we'll see. It's funnily enough, Marseille were mentioned the other week. Nottingham Forest, when he was left out the Community Shield squad, Paul Joyce tweeted, didn't he, that could they come back in for a permanent move? But it doesn't look like they're set to firm anything up. Maybe, just maybe on this, and this isn't a sort of dig or criticism of Hughes and Edwards, but when you've got 3 left backs on the books, it's what happens, isn't it? Clubs can leave it and push it to the last minute knowing you want to get rid of one. Yeah, and we've done it to a lot of clubs at the same time as well. Paul White's there saying, what's the latest? Well, strap in, Paul, because I just told you the bits around Isak, and I'm just giving you the update as we go through now. Now, this second one that I'm going to review, I don't like this, as it says there, picture of Marc Guehi, City set to rival Liverpool for top target. Now, yeah, did a bit of digging on this and didn't really like what I heard, to be honest, that, as it says, City could be looking at Marc Guehi. Now, the latest David Ornstein report going back to his deal sheet last Tuesday said, for Guehi, it was Liverpool or no one, wasn't it? And that was because the clubs were in, like Spurs had come in, Newcastle, and it was a no-no. However, doing a bit of digging on this, don't like what we found out. Now, it's in the article as well, but Guehi is repped by USG, Unique Sports Group, and they also rep Anthony Gordon and a number of Everton players. And you're thinking, why are you talking about Everton players, Dave? Because Everton are in for Nathan Ake. And someone will go, why are you talking about this? Because USG have got a great position now because City, from our info, have expressed an interest in Marc Guehi. Now, Marc Guehi's a USG client. A number of Everton players are USG clients. There's a good relationship there between the two. This doesn't mean they jump to favourites. They're going to firm it up. All we know is, as it says there, City have made inquiries. They could be set to rival Liverpool. And I've got to be deadly honest on this. I mean, I'm not changing tack. I've said this on a number of shows. Just do it. This haggling where it's quite clear that they want 35. Oh, sorry, we've offered 35, apologies. They want 45. We've left it so late in the day, and now we've left it this late in the day. You know, Glasner's almost having that public, you call it a spat a little bit, or dissent, shall we say, with Steve Parish and his stance. So you're just thinking like, you know, we could have dragged ourselves into the midst there. TG saying there, yeah, we shouldn't be haggling over 5 million quid for Guehi. He's already at half price. Should have got it done weeks ago. And I agree with that. I know people see it as a quote unquote market opportunity. That is the briefing on that. But with Frimpong out as well and, you know, question marks over Canate, to me, it just makes sense. Strengthen the defensive line. Give them that 40 million. Just get it done. Yeah. And unfortunately, and a little bit unfortunate, I'm saying this, Guehi, I mentioned it, did an interview with the BBC and Kelly Summers where he actually said, all my best friends are in Liverpool and Manchester. Now, a lot of obviously Liverpool players live in the Cheshire area, but so do a lot of City players at the same time. I'm going to be honest, yeah, this is a story where I kind of hope next week, and we may well have to wait until, I'm going to pronounce this team wrong, I think, is it Freakstad? Whatever they're called, the Norwegian team that Palace are playing until we get developments. But if it is City that make a strong move for him, you will just think, a bit slow on the draw there, Liverpool. Have we just gone too tough on this? But hopefully we're just talking him in by close and we move on. And John Thorne asking there, anything about, I'm guessing that's Wharton from Palace. Yeah, Adam Wharton is staying put, isn't he? There's no way they're going to sanction a move for after Ezra's gone for him as well. And in World Cup, yeah, he's going to be a starter and get those regular minutes, isn't he, for Crystal Palace? So, yeah, Adam Wharton is going nowhere this summer. There you go. That was a little bit of a Palace update and Guehi update. Now, this one just won't go away. but I've just got the feeling it's maybe not what everyone wants. Because it says on the screen there, Liverpool make a move for 68-goal superstar. Rodrygo left out again, isn't he? Just not been. Yeah, there's a couple of things to this, and there's a bit of reiteration from yesterday, but it's important to be clear. I do think if you ask me to bet right now, where does Rodrygo end up? Manchester City. Because again, there's the stories from Fabrizio Romano that Tottenham are set to come back in and make that solid bid for Savinho, which many expect City will take. So all of a sudden, they've got a space in their squad. Yes, of course, we want attackers. I'm not saying that differently, but the big thing around Rodrygo, as is mentioned in this article, is the wages. Yeah, and the wily old fox, Pini Zahavi, who, as we said, was at Anfield for the Bournemouth game, but as we've also said before on the transfer show and different bits, has met with Hugo Viana at City. Pini's doing what Pini does and trying to make a deal for his client, who, as came out in the Madrid papers or reports yesterday, isn't too happy on the right side, wants to play on the left side, but there's a certain Vinny Jr. there, isn't there? I think the problem is for this to happen for Liverpool, which I would like as well, don't get me wrong, the wages, the wage demands, and the package has to have a giant knife through it, which, okay, later in the window is a chance, but that's still the first big ask. The second big ask is that City don't sell Savinho, so don't get in the mix. And let's be honest on this, City will offer bigger wages than us. If you've got any doubts about that, I can't help you. So all that comes into the mix. So it is one to keep an eye on. I do suspect Rodrygo will move before the end of the window, and I would love it to be us. I really would. But the smart money does probably say Manchester City. We'll have to wait and see, hey? Now this one. Before I get into this, I actually like a bit of the different clubs, different rivalries, all this type of thing. But honestly, I just find that there's something abhorrent and entitled about the Arsenal fan base. And if someone had asked me sort of before in recent years, you can't dispute they are a big club. They are a big club in English history and all those bits. I'm not disputing that at all. But the fan base at the moment, dear God. And I'm not putting it on the screen because it's just pathetic. Has anyone seen their video for Eze and the tune they're using? Tony Evans, strap yourself in if you've not, because they're using the Chiesa song. And honestly, I'm sure you might have seen it on Twitter, trying to make out that it's theirs, it's original, and imitation's just a serious form of flattery. Honestly, there's nothing original about that fan base at all. But anyway, that's a bit of a rant, and maybe save that for another day, because as it says here, star winger, a doubt for Liverpool game. Yes, we have got to get Newcastle done before we play Arsenal on the Super Sunday, in it, right, the last day of the month, one day before the transfer window shuts as well. Who's available for Arsenal will be interesting, because two players went off injured for them yesterday, if you didn't see it. First, Odegaard with a shoulder injury, but then Bukayo Saka limped out. And this is important to say. Arteta was talking after the game, and as it mentioned in the article, said it's not the same hamstring as previously. Okay, so we had that surgery in the summer. It's the other hamstring. Now, as a Physio Scout tweeted, a well-known account, shout out to them. It's hard to say exactly, but it could be, a grade 1, a mild strain, which indicates 2 to 4 weeks. That would rule him out anyway. Anything above, even longer. As it says there, Based on the mechanism of Saka's injury, the early expectation is could fall into grade 1 or grade 2 category. So if so, his spell out would likely range between 2 to 6 weeks. Well, either way, even if it's the minimum there, he misses our game, doesn't it? And also, Arsenal, because I'm thinking of City, have got some tasty games coming up in the near future. They do play City, others at the top of the league, so they wouldn't want him unavailable. And if someone asked me right now, and we can be honest on this, if you didn't want a player to play against Liverpool for Arsenal, Saka would have been my top of my list, probably with Gabriel ultimately, because I'm just thinking that Saka can have a good game against us. Do you remember that goal he scored in the 2-2 draw where he tore Robbo apart, didn't he? Yeah. We shouldn't wish ill on people, and I'm not wishing ill. He's just injured. We'll see if he's a doubt. And as we say, Martin Odegaard went off with a shoulder injury. Now, it is Arsenal, so keep an eye out, because the more Lego head does the milking off, oh, he's definitely unavailable. Right, they're both going to start, aren't they? But yeah, will be interesting to see on that. This one, it's I would absolutely love this to be true, but there is a few people doing the rounds. Now, I'm just going to lay my cards on the table. I think this is the ultimate type of play into the masses transfer things as well. But there is stories, so it's important to report that Liverpool's suggestions Liverpool may move for an 82 million alternative for Isak in the form of Julian Alvarez. Now, just to be clear, I would adore this, love this to be absolutely true. But I don't think it is. I mean, the report mentions it, and there's a few places that are saying this as well, that unhappy with Simeone, growing frustrated at the different roles, and his record's brilliant, obviously, as we know. If there was an Isak alternative, of course, it would be Julian Alvarez for me. And if we got him, absolutely cock a hoop. But the price Atletico would demand, they're also trying to sell Sorloth, the other boy, as well. If there was any juice in this, it's just a bit late for the squeeze, realistically. Love it to be true, but going back to the various reports, Liverpool's eggs do seem to be in the Isak basket, I'm afraid. Couple of mentions as well. Adam Byrne there says Kwanzaa scored on his debut. A few former Liverpool players scored on their competitive debuts yesterday or the day before, even because it was Friday night for Luis Diaz, wasn't it? And yesterday for Jarell Kwanzaa in Leverkusen's 2-1 defeat at home against Hoffenheim. Ten Hag doing a great job there as ever. But why am I mentioning those two? Mainly, I don't know if anyone saw it, the nicest touch. What did Kwanzaa and Diaz do? An old Diogo Jota tribute celebration. So fair play, fair shout out to those two. Right, what else is coming up for you? AI content. I mean, look at this just in the recent hours or so, or even let's just go back 24 hours. In the last day, Dave and Carl did AI Scouted on Newcastle. So that's out, that's available to download and look at. Gags and Grizz did a few chats. Jan, as we said, talked about Newcastle away. Me and Trev, the snippets from the transfer show. And we talked about departures. We talked about potential incomings. We even talked about a fight between Rabiot's Ma and Derby in the European section, which was just funny to start with anyway. But the window shuts on the 1st of September, 7 p.m. That's a Monday. A week tomorrow, a week after the Newcastle game, literally. If it was to shut right this second, I think we got problems. We are desperately short, especially up front. If you think last season we had 6 senior I want to use that phrase, 6 senior attackers, with Chiesa being the 6, in a struggling season for him, but 6 senior attackers. Right now, as it stands, there's Salah, Gakpo. You wish you could name more. Ekitike, Chiesa. Now, you could argue, and I get people will, that I suspect it will happen, that Wirtz will play on the left on occasions. But I'm even going to call that 4.5 because we've seen in the setup, Arne Slot's trying to integrate him in the number 10 role. There may be occasions, like wouldn't surprise me tomorrow night if he plays there. So that's 4.5, call it, senior options. And then Rio and Gamoa. And if you don't want to do those, you're already in the midst of potentially talk of Frimpong covering Mo at AFCON. But obviously he's got an injury, so that. Ladies and gents, I don't know about you, that to me looks desperately short. And it's interesting, as said it at the top of the show, and I said it a few times. The briefing is from Liverpool, as Ian Doyle reported, that it seems to be Isak or no one. There doesn't seem to be a plan B. By the way, plan B, what an artist we are. Whatever happened to him? He had some banging tunes, didn't he? What was that one? Yeah, I love you. But anyway, but there doesn't seem to be a plan B, which is really worrying. Maybe, just maybe, it could come in the form of Rodrygo, as was mentioned, Pini Jahavi and different bits. I don't think it's going to come in the form of Julian Alvarez, despite what's being discussed. Tony Steele there saying, yeah, we definitely need a defender and a front man. Quanson's never been sold without someone coming in. And with the passing of Jota and Nunes going out, step in, they needed replacing. There is still a week to go, 8 days officially, as we stand here right now in this transfer window, of course, isn't there? And if Guehi and Isak come through the door, it looks a lot better, doesn't it? If you add Isak to Salah, Gakpo, Ekitike, Chiesa, and then you're thinking, okay, Wirtz and Gamoa can make up the half each, that does look really good. I get, and probably like I would want another one like Rodrygo on top's just always pushing it, isn't it? But a Malik Fofana, because it's important to mention that the Lyon stories are still there, that Lyon still need to raise. I think it's roughly 40 million euros. So a Stegelko would still naturally be countenanced there. That would be strong if Isak comes into the forward line. If Guehi comes in, then all of a sudden you're looking and thinking, okay, VVD, Canate, Guehi, Joe Gomez, another option there, Leone. And also you're thinking Joe Gomez can sort of go across that back line when he needs to. And especially with Frimpong being out, is an option at right back. It just feels, or would feel, so good, I think, if those two arrive. It really would feel good. But at the same time, it would feel almost still, and it can sound greedy, a minimum there. John Mycester there says, I think FSG went hard early on in the window and made us all happy, but then they resorted to selling so many like usual, and now we are short. And Tina, right, absolutely. We seem to have replaced Kwanzaa with Leone. And they were determined to get Leone, weren't they? They've been chasing that young star potential centre-back with Huijsen, Lenny Yoro and all those over the years. So, that's seen as a real coup. But also, as John says there's a week or so left. So we are not at panic stations across the board yet. Little squeaker. Maybe a little settler's tums is needed, shall we say. Bonkers FC, that's it. Elliot, still here, another option. He might not go. I suspect that the merry-go-round started because Chelsea are set to get money for Chuck Wemmicker. I do think that will be a thing that does lead eventually to Harvey Elliott, because Chelsea will spend that money on Xavi Simons and the merry-go-round continues. But I don't know. Plenty of content coming your way next week. We open bang off the bat the news round. We will have a bit of a squad review with the transfers. Monday night is obviously the game, so Jack will be doing his show. Of course he will, with all the build-up. It'll be the Raw Boys afterwards. Gags will be doing his. And then Tuesday, obviously, all the reaction, media matters and bits. So plenty of content. It's always weird when Liverpool don't play on a weekend, I find. I know some people like Monday night football. I'm not a fan of it. I'd rather it was my weekend and into next week, but each of you will be different on that. But anyway, there we go. Plenty to keep you covered. Plenty in focus. Let's hope over the next week it's a quote-unquote big week as we feel it needs to be. Whether it be Guehi, Isak anymore, you're all sharing your thoughts in the chat panel as ever. So thank you. We do appreciate that. But on Sunday, the 24th of August, that was another Daily Red at Anfield Index.